Filth are my politics. Filth is my life. Filth is my life. Take whatever you like.
I feel like we gotta do like the Sharpay High School Musical warm-ups. Like,
Well, I was doing those before you came into the studio today. So can't you just see all the energy on my face?
you got all the energy to the front here, not back here, up here.
In my mask, my acting mask, the front of the mask.
You have to aim for the roof of your mouth, right behind your teeth.
You have to find your center where your energy is. Is your energy like in your chest? Is it in your groin? Do you lead with your knees, with your elbows?
And then vertebrae by vertebrae, you place your head on top of your neck.
We're gonna do an activity. You are going to walk around the room. I can't do it.
You are an ostrich.
I was a
don't
penguin.
act like an ostrich. Be an ostrich. Welcome to the Cinefilth podcast, where a stay-at-home mom and insurance agent discuss something that no podcast has dared discuss before: movies. More specifically, the movies that your parents warned you about. The last few episodes, we have discussed movies that, I don't know about you, Mitchell, but I would be plenty comfortable watching with my parents. So... So I was like, I feel like we need to get into the nitty gritty. We need to get a little dirty. We need to go a little further back in time to the things that were playing in theaters they weren't allowed to go to. Or I guess my parents are old. They would have been old enough, but yours are young and beautiful. So
How old are your parents?
My parents are in their 70s.
My
Wait, no,
dad's
my mom's in her 60s. Sorry, Mom. My
She's
mom
gonna
is
whoop your ass.
I know. My mom is 67 and my dad is 72 this year. He's going to be.
I wouldn't read Van for being 72.
I know, he looks very young for his age. But anyway, even if my parents were old enough when these movies came out, I don't know if they I don't like to think, but I just assume that they were a little straight edge. So I don't think they would have gone to see these movies.
I'm always fascinated with how movies were perceived back in those times, like when they'd come out. Because I feel like right now, because of social media, I just always know every movie that's coming to the theater. Whereas, like, did everybody know that the telephone book in 1971 was releasing?
Right. Like, unless it was in your town, were you aware of it? You know?
I don't know.
Like, I heard about this movie that they played in New York and it's rated X and, it's supposed to be a great time. I don't know. For, like, the general public. I know, like, obviously for distributors, like, they had magazines and stuff so that they could keep up with it. But I don't know about a general audience.
I was actually searching for a copy of the Vinegar Syndrome release because one of my goals is to own physical copies of all the movies we talk about. And
all of that?
I mean, like, each episode, not like each one we mention, because that'd be a mess. But the ones that we talk in depth about. And yeah, people were selling like original posters from the 70s for the telephone book and art cards and stuff. And I think they were all original, like not reprints. I was surprised to see those.
Right? I'm actually going to pull up. Nobody judged me, the Wikipedia page, because I am curious about how it did.
I feel like, is it a thing with these movies like this that weren't as popular that Wikipedia is unfortunately one of the major places you have to go to look for shit?
Yes, because like when you go to the sources, it'll be things like old newspaper archives that are hard to find with search engines now, or like actual books sometimes and stuff like that. So it can actually be hard to find the sources they use.
It wasn't impossible or hard, but I felt like it was more challenging than it should have been for me to figure out who the illustrator for the ending cartoons were.
Yes. I think I only found out about that like through a review, like the person reviewing it knew who it was. We were going to just talk about the telephone book from 1971, which is directed and written by Nelson Lyon or Lyon. It's spelled like the French city, like Lyon, but I'm just going to say Nelson Lyon for now. And that is a sexploitation comedy starring a little woman named Sarah Kennedy, who I just found absolutely charming and riveting and adorable. And I started looking into her and I found out she was also a star in the Stephanie Rothman comedy, The Working Girls from 1974. And I tried so hard to find other examples of her. I found like a clip show of some of her bits on the TV show Laugh-In, and they weren't very good. So I was like, okay, I need to find more. She was on Johnny Carson like 9 times. And I was like, oh, that'll be easy to find. Yeah, that was back when like you would just have comedians on because you thought they were funny, you know? But apparently, yeah, Carson loved her. But it's actually really hard to find episodes of The Tonight Show if it isn't like if you look up Kennedy, Johnny Carson, you get a bunch of like JFK Jr. and stuff. Like you do not get Sarah Kennedy. So I ended up looking on YouTube and watching The Working Girls, written and directed by Stephanie Rothman. It's her last movie. And I texted you and I was like, this is actually really good and I love it. So like if you want to watch this and do a double feature, I'm down. But that was like 7 hours ago, so I didn't think you would actually do it.
I didn't think I was going to either, but I sat down and I read the text and I was like, you know what, Mitchell, you can watch that same 20-minute Trixie Katya like super clip of them saying stupid shit. You can watch that at a different time. It's like the 30th time I've watched it, probably within the last week. But
oh my God, amazing.
But I'm very glad I watched this because I also never heard of it before and I absolutely loved it.
Awesome. I'm so glad. I was hoping you would like it. I'm like, this is so silly and fun.
This movie's one I thought was like kind of cozy. I don't know if that like cozy and also just like endearing.
I like that word. Yeah. It definitely feels cozy because they're in this little apartment with 3 girls and a guy who stays on, so to speak.
And a community bed that people just roll into, don't announce themselves, make themselves comfortable. I thought that was so funny when there's this whole long buildup and the girl that normally sleeps in that bed getting in the bed, and then Honey's in there and she's like, who are you? I'm Honey. And then they just go into a full conversation sitting next to each other in this bed. It's just so funny. Completely ignoring the fact they don't know each other.
And Sarah Kennedy has this little pipsqueak like Snow White voice. So she's like, I'm Honey. And it's like, what? What are you doing here?
But like, it's so strange because normally you would think a voice like that would be annoying, but it's not.
It's
her version
so cute.
of it. I've never heard anything like it before. But I thought, was it that one review that compared her voice to like Betty Boop kind of?
Yeah, I saw that too. I saw her voice compared to Betty Boop. I thought it sounded like Snow White, like Adriana Caselotti from the Disney Snow White. Like, want to know a secret? Promise not to tell? It made me think of that. And then someone compared her face to like Goldie Hawn. And then once I saw Goldie Hawn, I couldn't unsee it. But I think she's very unique in her own way too.
Her voice also reminds me of, and you'll need to fill in the gaps because I can never remember what the names of anything is. It's that movie you made me watch. And there's the person living in the house with the girl and she's got the head wraps on because she's had a bunch of plastic surgery. I feel like it's a movie about, it was one of the movies you watched on Discord, I'm pretty sure.
The only thing it makes me think of is American Mary.
Yes, it's American Mary. Did I just describe that so horribly?
Yeah, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Hey, you got there. You got the name of the movie.
There's a Betty Boop one in that too, where she literally is made up to look like Betty Boop.
Mm-hmm.
And she talks
the voice.
With the voice. And I like that one because kind of like in the telephone book where she says like the most outlandish, like hypersexual things, the Betty Boop character in American Mary is kind of like that too, where she's like, don't be such a cunt. And it's like, oh my God.
Like, we as human beings love it when small children and old people swear.
And women with sweet voices.
Mm-hmm.
It's so wrong, but
you
feels
would
so
never
right.
expect her to say this. That'd be like the clickbait title for the video.
Oh my God. Well, I didn't know what to expect from the telephone book. All I knew about it going in was that it was supposedly good. On the back of the Blu-ray, it says this is the best cult film that you've never.
I also was just thinking on the back of the DVD just says supposedly good.
What?
Like on the disc, on the back, on the case. What are you getting? So, you know how a Blu-ray comes in a Blu-ray case. And I'm saying on the back of it, it just says in quotation marks, supposedly good. I don't think this is that complicated of a joke.
Well, it says on the case in quotation marks, it says
supposedly good.
That it's like the best cult movie that you've never heard of is how it's described. And so the movie starts, and right away you hear obscene sex sounds. And it's like, what is this? What are we doing here? Oh. Ugh. And then we meet this little girl who I want to call her Honey, but that's her name in the next movie.
It's Alice.
Alice, which makes sense because she kind of goes into a little trip through Wonderland or New York. Yes. With she goes down the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
And she
also, we should probably clarify, I think she is an adult in this movie that's very sexually centered.
Yes, she is not a child like Alice is in Alice in Wonderland. She is an adult. The actress, I believe, was 23 or so when it came out. The character is 18, supposedly.
That's
which
hot.
It's a little concerning because, she's had quite a life already.
Barely legal.
But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, why'd you have to do that? Yeah. A different time, I guess. But she lives in an apartment by herself, and her apartment is covered in like wallpaper that looks like celluloid. Like it looks like celluloid, but it's of porn. So just pictures of people in all of these different sex positions. And she gets a phone call from a very sexy man, as far as he sounds. And she falls in love with him and really wants to meet him. And so she goes on an adventure. He gives her a clue to who he is, John Smith. And so she goes to try and find the one John Smith in New York who is making dirty phone calls. What did you think getting into this, Mitchell? What were you expecting?
I hadn't seen a trailer for it, so I went in completely blind. I literally knew nothing. And honestly, I think you sent me a video of it. Like, we should do this. I don't think I watched more than like 5 seconds of that video.
You're like, yeah, okay.
And that's true friendship. You just send me a name of a movie and I go, okay, I trust you. It'll be entertaining. I tried doing some looking into the people involved in this movie. I'm surprised at the lack of emphasis on how visually stunning. Like, I feel like this movie is so visually there's so much to digest here. I'm doing a really bad job of articulating my opinion on it.
No, that's okay.
I know the director had ties with Andy Warhol, and Andy Warhol was an artist. So I don't know if that played any part in this movie.
Yeah,
probably not.
Well,
I don't know.
It's such a weird mishmash because the director and writer, Lyon, I don't know. Lyon. He had ties with Andy Warhol. And there's a couple people in this movie who were factory regulars. So like Ondine is in it. And he plays the random narrator with a naked man on his table who pops up like maybe 3 times in the movie. And he doesn't really narrate anything at all. He's just there sometimes, rubbing the butt of the body on his desk. And then there's also a woman named Ultraviolet that when Alice goes to meet an old, and I mean literally old, stag film star, there's a woman there in like dominatrix gear with a whip, and she just kind of stands around and watches, and apparently she
yells.
And yells, yeah.
What a role.
I know. I thought it was really interesting that the two roles that didn't seem to have anything to do with what was actually going on were people from Andy Warhol's crew. I was like, what are you doing here? But what you were saying about the cinematography, I thought the same thing. I'm like, this is so beautiful. What else have they done? So I looked into the cinematographer and pretty much nothing.
I know, I felt like that was the gist, is like they really said, like, here's this little gem, and then obviously it went nowhere.
Yeah.
Well, it is maybe now. It's having, us two weirdos are talking about it, but what did we miss? What did we not tap into by neglecting these artists? Because I felt like I was watching a coffee table book. Like, you could have taken so many of these shots from this movie, and I'm like, I want that hanging on my wall.
Mm-hmm.
I love her, like, the bug eye glasses right at the beginning.
Yeah, she has like goggles on.
Mm-hmm. And she's just
like,
laying in her American flag sheets, which I pointed out before I even read somebody's review of this. I was like, interesting choice. We've got bed sheets of the American flag surrounded by wallpaper of porn. Perhaps this is saying something about America?
Subtext? I love that. And yes, I loved her American flag comforter. As she said, she's so funny when she would talk about like masturbating. She'd be like, and then I jack off. And I'm like, oh my God. She's so vulgar and I love it. And that's probably this movie's saving grace, is that she is totally in control of everything that happens,
Which I'm sure was probably not very common in the 70s, I would assume, which is probably why this movie was so poorly received, was because we were watching a set. I want to say, I would say most of the female characters in this movie, they were very much the dominant one in the sexual experiences that they were having.
Like they would have the upper hand, so to speak.
Like what I loved when she flashed him. It reminded me of that scene. And is that Pink Flamingos when?
Yes, that's such a good point. And those movies are 1 year apart. So 1971, The Telephone Book, there's this creep of a psychoanalyst, and he flashes her and is like, look down. And we don't see it, but we know he's got his dick out. And she's like looking and she's like, oh, okay. And then she gets naked and she shows him what she's got going on. And he is absolutely petrified by her. Like, no, I'm supposed to be terrorizing you. I'm supposed to be getting a kick out of this, not you.
Yeah, she chases him down.
Oh my God. Starts telling him a lewd story for a telephone change. That's a whole other part. But yeah, it's similar to in Pink Flamingos, where the flasher flashes a transgender woman and she's like, hey, me too.
My turn.
Yeah. And then he's like terrorized, like, oh my God, I've been flashed. And it's like, yeah, dude, like we can do that too. So yeah, I wonder if John Waters saw this.
I felt like that was a long running theme of the woman. Kind
taking
of
it back.
The women were doing the things that men typically do. And I also thought it was really interesting, and I wonder if it was intentional, the juxtaposition of these very civilian characters telling these absolutely lewd stories. And I just visually, that was so funny. There's the one clip of the woman that's she talks about a banana. And
she's like,
shoving it in her cunt,
banana and it gets really gushy and
she's just one of those women that's just so I'm like, whose mother is this? And she's and I love her laughs. It's just this movie was so funny.
It's so funny. And that's another good point. There's these little documentary clips that look like documentary interviews of people who are former obscene phone callers. So they used to make crank calls and now they don't. And it's really funny listening to them give their reasons for why they don't anymore. Mostly it's oh, I'm just so much more logical than that, or I'm better than that. And I don't do that anymore, after they just discussed doing the most obscene things, like shoving a banana up their hoochie. But the first guy they interview, he's like, oh, I don't do that because the coming of Atlantis and the little green men. And it's what are you talking about?
The guy that shoves his hand in what's it called? Pea soup.
Yeah, he would put his hand in soup before making the phone call. So yeah, they would try and be like, oh, I don't do that anymore. I'm so sophisticated. I'm so evolved now. And it's like, you were doing really disgusting things though. So how evolved can you get from that, honestly?
And something I loved about this movie was it felt like it was trying to say everybody's kind of freaky.
Exactly.
The people you would least expect, they freaks.
Yes, 100%. There was a quote that I really liked from this. I'm gonna find it. She says, "I think obscenity's all in the mind, don't you?" And it's like, yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, again, we keep bringing up John Waters, but I remember one time he was talking about going to one of his obscenity trials. And he was like, it's not obscene. It's not obscene. And then they played the clip at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, at 10 in the morning, it's obscene, because it's all about your mindset, In the morning, you're like, I want my coffee. I don't want to watch people fucking.
Yeah, I could see how some might find it that way, but they're boring.
Yeah, one of the biggest swaps in this movie is when the flasher decides to go after her after all, after she has terrorized him with her naked body on the subway. And she's like, I need change for the phone. And he's like, I'll give you change, but like, you have to tell me like a dirty story. And so she starts to, and this is another example of how the telephone book, all these situations where the man would typically be in control of the situation, she is, which I love. So she's telling this dirty story about a guy who gets an erection that will not go away. And she
Which
gets
is a metaphor for soldiers.
Oh my God.
War.
A haunted conscience. And she gets to the end of it. And like, obviously, like the story's going to end a certain way. And this guy's getting like all hot and bothered and excited. And right before the story ends, the man with the erection says, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. And it's like instantly, like the narrative is just turned upside down. Like, what do you mean? What is this anymore? And then the change spills everywhere and the story's done. She has enough for her phone calls and she's out of there. And I just love how every time you think these guys are going to get their kicks, it's just like, no, we're not doing that. This is about her.
I read this whole article and it was talking about all of the hidden meanings in the telephone book, and a lot of it was tied to the
Was that the one about
war.
Vietnam? Yeah.
And I was reading it and I was like,
Tell me about it.
I don't want to tell you about it.
Do you disagree, or were you like, this is just a lot?
I don't know enough about the Vietnam War and the experiences people were going through at that time for me to really connect and relate with the ideas they were trying to say. That's why you probably didn't get what I was saying earlier. This article was comparing, apparently, that man's erection was a metaphor for soldiers standing for their country and being unable to oppress
return to civilian life,
like that, or like to always standing up for your country or something. And I was just like, I was reading that article and I was like, girl, there's the meme of Trinity the Tuck in Drag Race, and she's like, I don't know what the fuck she's saying, but I live.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like men would rather make a metaphor about the Vietnam War than see a movie about a woman being sexually empowered. You know what I mean? It's like, does it have to be about the war? Could it just be about this girl having a good time? No? Not allowed? Okay.
Who fucking knows? I mean, when a movie is that strange, I mean, I would say it's definitely a conversation on sex in America, obviously.
Right.
But the ties with the war, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, definitely our main guy, Mr. Mr. Smith, in his half pig mask, he's definitely got some hang-ups, and he was a soldier in the war. Mm-hmm. And he is very concerned that you do not find him gay. He is very concerned about that.
I'm pleased to report this movie says twice.
At least.
I'm going to start making count montages. Like those videos, it's like each death in such and such movie, and it's me. Yeah. I'm just going to do each time is said in a movie. It's going to be short videos.
And this is kind of common theme. So, okay, he says that about how he looks, which you posted on your Instagram story, where she's like, what do you look like under your mask? And he's like, well, I'm lovely. Not like a gay man, but just lovely. And then he talks about being in the war and how the other soldiers would get scared under his command, like they'd be scared to go to battle. And he's like, and I would kiss them, not in a gay way, but the way a man kisses another man. I'm like, what do you mean? That's not a thing.
It's the gayest shit I've ever heard.
It's so gay. And then when she asks him, have you ever been physically intimate with a woman? He goes, what the fuck do you mean? And I was so shocked the way he said that with such conviction.
It was a fair question. He's a little bitch.
Yeah. I don't know if he has, you know what
He's
I mean?
all talk.
He has a son, but... And I was convinced someone was going to get run over by a lawnmower in his monologue.
Yes, the dog. I thought the dog was going to get run over, and I was like, oh, no.
No. Instead, he's just an aggressive asshole. I have some more examples of this man being incredibly gay and being incredibly concerned that you don't think he is. She says to him, why don't you wear sunglasses? And he says, I'm theatrical. He says, I'm theatrical.
I wrote that down. Yeah.
It's such a good line. And he also brags that if he wanted to, he could seduce the president of the United States, which is like, sounds like you kind of want to.
Yeah, he's our bi king.
Yeah. He's such an interesting character because and he's a creep too. Like he would call like young girls and do these phone calls. So he's he's kind of a villain and kind of not, you know, because he does terrible things.
Can we have a conversation about how both these movies made some kind of lighthearted comment that was tying in sexual scenarios with minors? And I think that's really weird. Like, was that a thing? I haven't seen enough movies from the 70s and, well, anything beyond, honestly, before the 90s where it's like, was that normal?
Think it was normal in the 70s, especially in movies, but I think that the culture was a little less concerned, if that makes sense. Like there were teenage girls sleeping with rock stars and nobody was batting an eye. I feel like the counterculture was less concerned with it than we are now. The music scene, hippies, stuff like that, I don't know if they were super concerned about the safety of minors as we are now. So, yeah. I don't remember it in The Working Girls, but I do remember this because he was like, I call nymphettes. And I was like, ew, don't do that. That's gross.
In Working Girls, it's when she put in the seeking jobs in the classifieds or whatever. And then somebody sent her a letter and said, I'm 15 years old and my 16-year-old friend is still way too old to be a virgin, which that's actually kind of funny. But it's talking about having sex with her and having him watch. And it was obviously the joke. I feel like the punchline of the joke is their age. And it's...
Right, where it's like, ew,
it's weird.
No. Yeah, they definitely treat it as weird in The Working Girls. Whereas the telephone book, it's left a little bit open for interpretation. But the more I think about this movie, the more I think John Smith is kind of a villain in a way, even though he gives her what she wants. And we got to talk about this ending where they go to separate phone booths and he calls her. And she has such an experience that the whole thing is animated with like psychedelic sexual animation that is incredibly vulgar.
Skyscraper in the pussy.
Yes, yeah. And like bodies made of tongues and bodies made of boobs. And
it was incredible.
And penises with teeth. And just, it was something.
It was a trip. And it was
a trip.
What a creative way of it's... Because obviously, I'm sure, you know, this is her having her orgasm. And instead of us watching her in a phone booth orgasming for 5 minutes, we're going to cut away and do a cartoon depiction of really fucked up, weird sexual shit. And it was just, it's creative.
And like the real world goes from black and white to color too. Like they do so many things without you actually hearing the phone sex, which I think is really creative.
Yeah, and just strange and, again, visually so interesting.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think she dies? Or is she asleep at the end? Because they talk on the phone all night. It cuts forward to daytime, and she's just slumped over in the phone booth like this. And he looks at her and leaves, and she's just like, Do you think the orgasm is so good it kills her?
I interpreted it as she was just, so just winded from that good phone sex.
I just think he's not a good guy, honestly. So I wouldn't be surprised if he killed this woman with a phone sex orgasm. But speaking of violence in this movie, though, Jill Clayburgh, 2-time Academy Award nominee Jill Clayburgh, plays Alice's friend, who we only ever see wearing, what's this called?
The sleep masks.
A sleep mask. And the first time we meet her, she is receiving incredibly messy sounding oral sex. And then the second time
it couldn't sound any less like oral sex. It's
very unappetizing sounding.
Something gushy going on down there.
Yeah. It sounded like someone was mixing a smoothie or something.
Somebody's drowning.
Yeah. And then the second time we see her, her name in the credits is just Eye Mask. The next time we see Eye Mask, she's loading a gun. What do you think she was going to do with the gun? Was she going to play Russian roulette? Was she going to shoot the man who was going down on her earlier? What's the gun?
There's a couple points in this movie where I got a little lost.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, we're doing that. But at this point, I'm just not going to question it. I'm not asking any whys when I'm watching this movie.
So we've talked about the psychoanalyst. We touched on the stag star, Mr. Harpoon, who is trying to get back into the pictures. And he is making a movie in this studio covered in old Hollywood posters with Constance Bennett and W.C. Fields and all these really old-timey movies from 40 years before this movie came out. And he is covered with all of these women just writhing on him, and it's very unsexy. And Alice gets stuck with his foot, and he's
leg,
like, "Oh, just
left leg."
Yeah. He's like, "Grab whatever's left." And she's like, "Okay." And that was everything about this movie is so interesting to me. Just the way that this should be a fantasy situation. This man just covered in naked women.
But I don't think it is. That's the strange part.
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd and ridiculous. But also really, like you said with the cinematography, it's really beautiful to look at.
These arts people were fucking weird. They still are, but especially at this time, they're all doing drugs. I mean, I was reading all that shit about how, I'm sure isn't that part of why he stopped making films was because he was very closely related to the murder, not murder, he overdosed, right? His friend or something.
Yeah, so Jim Belushi, Nelson, was one of the two last people to see him alive because they were spending all day. This woman, I don't remember her name off the top of my head, but she was shooting them up with high balls, speed balls, some kind of balls, some mixture of drugs. And and they were just doing it all day on a bender. And then he just, he was like, "Okay, I'm going home." And they're like, "Bye." And his friend was dead by the next morning. So, apparently it sounds like, I don't know the details, but it sounds like he was a little bit of a pariah after that because he had been writing for Saturday Night Live. He had written another movie called The Baron, which was a blaxploitation picture, which I watched and I liked it. I don't know if it's good. But it did have a connection to the telephone book because it had a villain character who was very concerned about not appearing homosexual. But he was very fashionable. He had this white suit, coordinated, a white 3-piece suit. But he went out to dinner with this one guy and he's like, stop drawing attention to yourself. You look like a gaudy, you know what? And he's like, "I don't want people to think that I'm seen with this gaudy, you know what." And I'm like, oh my God, why do you write these characters who are so worried about people thinking they're gay. It's so fascinating. And because that was a very cut and dried villain, just like a terrible person, it made me wonder even more if our crank caller in the telephone book wasn't supposed to be a good guy. I'm like, I think maybe this is just something that he thinks bad people worry about. Like, how are people perceiving my sexuality? Whereas our protagonist, Alice, she does not care how you perceive her sexuality. She gets taken home by a lesbian with a vibrator collection,
Yeah, both Alice and Honey are, I said the word endearing at the beginning, just endearing characters that are just so eager to do anything and everything. And it's just, you gotta love people like that. I'm envious of people like that.
Well, it was probably easier to be less scared back then. They didn't have the internet telling them all the things to be scared of. And they didn't have AIDS. So there's that too.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
AIDS is a real bummer.
I know. I was thinking that a lot
Hot
during
take.
these movies. Yeah. I was thinking
Hot
that a lot
take.
during
AIDS
these
are
movies.
bad.
Like, AIDS are bad.
AIDS is bad.
How scandalous of you to say that. How brave. But that is something that came to mind during these movies, is that, like, obviously STDs, venereal diseases still existed and stuff, but, like, it's kind of sad to think that within, like, 10 years of these movies coming out, like, you couldn't make these movies for a long time without it being, like, a tragedy, But the Working Girls, you were talking about Honey. What did you think of the Working Girls?
Something I really loved throughout a lot of this movie was just, like you just mentioned, there's no phones. And something about watching both of these movies and seeing these experiences these characters are going through, I was like, it's crazy how much more interesting life is when we're not all doing the same things and staring at our phones and all that. And also, I was just like, it was just cool seeing this, like, such a community element of Working Girls. It's all these strangers are all coming together. They're all sharing the same house. And then it just the flow of that movie is just so great because it's like how they all come to be, and then it branches out and you see all three of their lives, and then it all kind of comes back together. I will say there was a long point in the movie where I was like, are we done with Honey?
I know.
It's been like 30 minutes and we haven't seen the protagonist.
Yes, same. It becomes like kind of a gangster picture in the middle there. And it's like, I want Honey back. I like Honey.
I like the gangster part, but again, I was just like, what are we doing here? Yeah,
it gets kind of weird.
What there wasn't enough of was Miss Cassandra Peterson. There was not, and I didn't at first when she first appeared in the movie, I was like, I think she looks familiar, and I should probably know who this is. And then I was looking through the IMDb, I was like, okay, it was Elvira. Like I thought, I was like, this woman's face is so stunning and very distinct, and makes complete sense as Elvira. But apparently, this movie was described as the movie where people would say. They would refer to this movie not as The Working Girls. They'd refer to this as the movie where you see Elvira's boobs or something like that.
Yeah. I read that she had posed naked before, but she never been naked in a movie, and she never was again, because she was a Vegas showgirl from a very young age. Like, I feel like she might have started underage, actually, like 17, 18. So, yeah, it was like, obviously, she was very confident in her body. But yeah, I wish she was in it more because she's so fabulous.
I thought of my funny story I needed to tell you. So how did you watch Working Girls?
So I watched it on YouTube, which I wonder if this is going to come up, is that all the strip teases, there's no music. There's no music because...
I literally paused it and rewound it because I was like, oh, there must be something wrong with my TV. But then at first was like, wait, is it copyrighted music and they had to take it off? So you miss so much dialogue for one thing. And the best, you're watching these sexy strip teases to no sound. And I'm like, what? I'm just like doing a bird's eye view of myself sitting in my apartment, and I'm just watching this silent striptease.
This gay man watching Elvira strip in the mute.
And me just think, I can't wait to tell Jenny that I watched the striptease segments with no music.
Yes. Yeah, that's how I watched it too, because unlike the telephone book, which has a Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray, Working Girls, I think, got a Code Red Blu-ray. And the thing about Code Red is that it doesn't exist anymore. So it doesn't really happen anymore. So I don't.
So we need to make this movie really popular so that somebody will reprint it.
Yes, please. You know what? It is, for anyone who wants to see it with the music in, it is streaming on Mubi. It's just that Mubi's kind of an expensive streaming service, so I didn't do it. But you can
Goddamn
watch
substance.
This. I know. You can see this, and you can see a couple other Stephanie Rothman movies too. Terminal Island, which I really like, and Group Marriage, which I still need to see. But she made like quite a few movies, like a good handful. You know, you mentioned that this is such a brisk movie. It's so endearing. Stephanie Rothman was known for making exploitation pictures. And so everything about this movie, the poster, the name, even like the synopsis, like, oh, 3 women doing whatever it takes to get by. It sounds like it's going to be a super sexy movie. And then it's not, because Stephanie Rothman didn't actually like making exploitation pictures. She just wanted to make them so that people would give her more and better opportunities to make movies, and it didn't happen.
So she didn't, realistically, you think she probably didn't enjoy making this movie?
I think she probably enjoyed this movie a little bit because there's not a lot of exploitation going on here. There's a little bit of nudity, but not much. There's no sex on screen.
But also I want to say, like, also that character, I can't remember the name of the character. She is the gangster girl that's working in the strip club. Her character is so just like badass. I loved her. The whole scene where he pulls out the gun to intimidate her, and then she just grabs the gun from him. And like her boss is telling her to just give him what he wants, and she's like, no.
Yeah, she's like thinking about not doing it. He's like, you need to give him what he wants or he's gonna like kill you. And she's like,
I guess I'll have sex with him.
I guess I'll do it.
Fall in love with him.
I loved it. I wrote in my Letterboxd review that 2 years before The Working Girls, The Godfather came out. And have you ever seen The Godfather?
I think you know the answer to that question.
Well, when it ends, the main guy gets married to Diane Keaton. It's his second wife. His true love died. And Diane Keaton sees him having a meeting, like a very shady business meeting. And they're like, shut the door. And so she's like shutting the door, but she knows like nefarious things are going on back there and she's being shut out. You know, it's no longer, her husband is no longer the person that she married, you know, type thing. And all I could think of at the end of Working Girls is that Stephanie Rothman probably saw The Godfather and was like, fuck that. Don't compromise your morals for a man. And that's exactly what her character refuses to do. Jill is her name. And she's just like, I am not like you. You're corrupt and I'm not. And the guy says, well, you could always change. And she's like, no, ew.
This movie looks like it was very poorly reviewed, and it's all making sense. I'm noticing a trend. All these movies with strong, independent female leads, they all have really bad reviews, and I'm not really getting it.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? And you know what? We talked about this off mic a little bit. The telephone book, its big champion was our man, Kevin Thomas of the LA Times. He liked it. He knew. He's always down for a stylish experimental movie about women's empowerment.
Yeah, it's cool. You wouldn't think you'd see these types of things from a movie in the 70s. I wouldn't have. With these more progressive ideas.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's funny because like Rothman, her movies tended to have this stuff like kind of below the surface a little bit. Like The Student Nurses was a little naughtier, but it also had themes of like abortion and work and women's rights and stuff. And those themes were there. But with this one, it's really just, it's not the subtext, it is the text. And so that's just exciting. I just like it a lot. And I love how Honey makes a ton of money. And then she's like, we should just open a business where I give you all jobs and then you'll have money too. And I'm just like, I love this. That she's like, suddenly she's Bernie Sanders.
I don't remember what we were talking about, but you got your book montage, your library montage. I think that was you that brought that up another time where it's like, we're never going to see those anymore.
Yeah, I was talking about how in Obsession, he's like looking up the One Wish Willow and he gets like a ChatGPT, Google AI response. Like, oh, here's all this information about One Wish Willow. And I'm like, oh my God, the library montage from like Jennifer's Body and stuff.
Yep.
It's dead. It's dead. And so when Honey goes to figure out how the stock market works,
she just goes to the library and that's all it takes.
Yes, and she absolutely demolishes that library. It's so messy. I'm going to go back and take a screenshot because it's so funny.
But also, bitch, you better get back to putting those books. How dare you disrespect those library workers like that?
But fun fact, do not reshelve the books yourself. You got to put them in the spots that they have available for books you're not going to check out because they count those and they count them as being used and then they take those numbers to like the city council or whatever. Yes, then they get money to me.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so now you know it helps them make their argument like, okay, this Honey bitch came into the library
Sorry,
and read
honey.
50 books.
She was actually just supporting the library.
Yes,
So should I just start going to libraries? Is that a thing still where I'll just pull all the books off the shelves, set them on the tables?
Yeah. They'll be like, wow, someone's really using this section. And it's like Mechanics 101. Another thing, there was a scene in The Working Girls I really liked. So Denise and Honey have a very short-term love triangle with this guy named Mike, who Honey takes home and sleeps with him. And then Denise comes home and he's in the bed. And she's like, you have a very nice body. Can I paint you? And he's like, well, take your clothes off. I want to see yours. And she's like, no, I won't be doing that. But they do end up together. And when she's like, oh my God, Honey's going to be mad. How can I do this to Honey? Mike is like, well, Honey is a liberated woman and she doesn't do all this silly, immature jealousy stuff. And then it cuts to Honey's reaction. And she's like, how could you do this to me? You screwed me. You screwed me. You both screwed me over, but in her little cute voice. And I'm just like, I love that. Like, oh no, she's a liberated woman. And it's like, no, she still has feelings, you dunces.
But also at the same time, I'm like, she has feelings for this guy that she met at the park the same day and went hooked up with. And also, I'm like, girl, she's giving you a place to stay and they're feeding you. Mm-hmm. Let her fuck your man that you've met in the park that day.
And I know. And like Mike and Denise after one night are in love and they're like, we have to tell Honey. And I'm like, it's been 2 hours probably. I love Denise and her billboard that she's painting that is taking her literal days.
And it's the most simple. It's like 4 stripes, one word.
Right. When she was still working on it, I'm like, what even is she painting? Oh, I guess that did need painted, but what? This movie is so beachy. Like, it's right next to the water in Los Angeles. There's like a scene that I think takes place in like Venice Beach. There's pools. This is such a good summer movie. With all of the raging conservatism going on, I kind of needed this. Like, just to see that, like, 50 years ago, we were saying, no, that's bullshit. I'm not going to take off my clothes. You take yours off. I'll paint you. We need to go do our research in the libraries. We need to go have phone sex on the payphone. We need to have our limo be our office.
We need to invest in rope companies.
Yes, invest in rope companies. Say no to the gangsters who love us.
We need to buy all the tinsel drapings we can. Does Carrie have a background like that?
Like during the dance scene at the end?
Before the pig's blood? Is it also have like a huge tinsely background?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For some reason, my brain is just going to Carrie.
Oh, yeah. I love Carrie. And it's around the same time, too. So that makes sense. 1976, 1974. It was kind of funny during the striptease. There is a strip club in the movie Fuck Toys the club is called Fuck Toys, and it also has that background. So I don't go to strip clubs. Maybe they all look like that, and I just don't know. But it kind of made me wonder if Annapurna Shriram had seen The Working Girls. I want to ask her, like, are you influenced by the work of Stephanie Rothman? Yes or no?
During that whole montage in that scene, I was like, maybe I should become a stripper. I feel like I'm very vain, very self-absorbed with my appearance, and people get paid to dance naked. Maybe I should give that a whirl. That could be a lot of money.
I read the book Candy Girl by Diablo Cody, and it's all about her being a stripper.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And just reading about it was kind of crazy making, because it's like, you got to tip this guy, you got to tip this guy, you have to give the house this percentage of your money. And so like, you don't act like you make decent money, but you have to give so much of it back that I think I would lose my mind. Because it's like, you didn't dance naked, I danced naked. Give me the money. I don't give you the money. But yeah, you end up having to like pay quite a bit just to dance.
I just want to sell my body for money.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first, folks. We're going to get banned.
Sex work is real work, Jenny. Grow up.
I know. They make that very clear in The Working Girls. They do.
I need to watch more of... It's not Cassandra. It's Cassandra.
I've heard people say Cassandra Peterson.
Elvira. I need to see more of Elvira's work, because I'm going to be vulnerable. I've never seen any of her actual movies. I've only ever seen her appear in things.
Right. I think she only has like 2 movies of her own, and then it's just like her hosting other movies.
Like, could you imagine having that much influence and notoriety from so seemingly little? I know it's not little. Like, it's still impressive, obviously, but she's an icon, and
she like, people don't even have to have seen your movies, and they're still like, oh my God, it's Elvira.
They know who that is. Yeah.
100%. She's such an icon. If you are able to, her memoir, Yours Cruelly, Elvira, is so good. I loved it so much. I learned, and I've been scared ever since. Every time I have something boiling on the stove and the kids are around, I get really scared. Because when she was like 1.5, her mom went outside while boiling something on the stove, and Elvira grabbed the boiling water and poured it on herself, like as a baby.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and so she actually has like scars up and down her neck, and that's why her hair is always pulled forward.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, which is funny, because apparently like people who know her don't even notice the scars. They're like, why do you do that? Like, you can't even see them. And she's like, I just always have. So yeah, it's kind of amazing that someone as beautiful and talented and lovely as Elvira, she's got her own shit going on where it's like, nobody look at me.
So, moral of the story, Elvira, you're disgusting. Your scars do not make you beautiful, according to Genevieve Rossi.
Oh my God. No, I'm just saying, we all have our insecurities, even the most beautiful woman in the world.
I don't have any insecurities.
No, of course not. That's why you're wearing your hoodie this whole time.
Oh, no, I was cold. I'm not ashamed. Everybody look. Everybody look. I shaved my head.
Oh, good.
I have a Britney moment once a year.
Yeah.
It's become a recurring theme.
You know how there's the subway scene in the Telephone book where she flashes a flasher? There's kind of a scene like that in The Working Girls, too, where in the very beginning, she eats her meal at a cafe. And she's like, I can't pay you back. And he's like, well, there is one way. And she's like, oh, yeah, that way. And he's like, well, I get off work at 9. And she's like, I can't come back at 9. So we'll just have to do it now. And she starts taking off her clothes, and he literally just kicks her out. He's like, nope, get out. I can't have my customers knowing that I'm a creep, you know?
So smart. Just start taking your clothes off if you want to get out of doing things. Just start stripping.
Yeah, just give them what they want, just not when they want it. And there you go. You got out of that one quick. I really wanted to do more Sarah Kennedy impressions during this, but I didn't, because she's just so singular.
You did quite a few. I noticed. Part of me wondered if maybe you practiced them.
You did. I did.
That's great. That's really great.
But yeah, so the Telephone book and The Working Girls, do you have one that you preferred, or is there like an order that you would watch them?
They're very different in that,
Mhm.
well, they're both funny, and you'd consider both of them sexploitation, right? Or is
Yeah,
Working Girls?
yeah.
It kind of is.
Working Girls was at least marketed as one, and then it kind of turns it on its head, and it's like, no, it's actually about literal girls who are looking for work and
Yeah,
making money.
it's really not. But God, I like the way that both of these movies handle their female characters. And I would say, God, yeah, you have to be in two different moods too, because I feel like
Yeah.
I feel like Telephone Book is kind of, it's chill. I don't know, like, God, but it's so strange.
It's very experimental in comparison.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say Working Girls is much more, that's a lot more of an easier recommend than Telephone Book would be. But
True,
also
which is so funny because I think more people have seen the Telephone Book than the Working Girls.
Which one was directed by a woman and which one was directed by a man?
There you have it. Bum, bum, bum.
I'll say it.
Yeah, you're so right. Especially, I was talking about how Stephanie Rothman wanted to use exploitation films as like a stepping stone to a bigger and better career. And the thing is, a ton of men who also worked like with Roger Corman and made these like B movies. These men like Jonathan Demme, Francis Ford Coppola, what's his face? Martin. Francis Ford, Martin Scorsese, James Cameron, they got their starts making these tacky B movies, which I love, but they are tacky B movies. And, and then they made frickin' Goodfellas or whatever, you know what I mean? Like now James Cameron, Avatar. Yeah. Whereas Stephanie Rothman stopped making exploitation movies and was like, I would like to do something else. And the studios were like, no. So it's just really,
It's sad.
It's maddening. It's sad. It's really sad
I'm
that
thinking
both
of all
these
of
directors didn't really go anywhere after this. My gut reaction to the Working Girls was overwhelmingly positive, whereas I feel like the Telephone Book is more complicated. Where it's like, I like this aspect of it. I don't like that this guy's a creep and also very homophobic. Whereas Working Girls, there's a lot less of that. Let's see. Oh my God, this is crazy. A Blu-ray of the out of print Working Girls sold for $100 last month on eBay. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, the Vinegar Syndrome ones were, I think there was like 50 if you wanted the one with the slip cover, and that's what I love, the slip cover artwork.
It's so pretty for the Telephone Book, for sure. This is going to be rough. Well, somebody needs to put out the Working Girls. Vinegar Syndrome still has the regular Blu-ray available, so you can get that online. But yeah, check out both of these movies. We love you, Sarah Kennedy. She is still alive. And so is Stephanie Rothman. We love you, Stephanie. We love you, Sarah. You guys are awesome. Keep doing whatever you're doing. I hope you have happy, fulfilling lives.
Yeah, I'm happy that this double feature that we got brought Sarah Kennedy in, because both times I was watching, especially during Telephone Book, I was just, the whole time I was like, I love her. How is she not bigger? How is she not a bigger actress?
Yeah, I have no idea. I almost wonder if it's just kind of like the curse of doing movies like this sometimes, where it's like, oh, but you do B movies or you do nudie cuties or whatever. And it's like, okay, but she's really good.
Isn't it interesting how it's like kind of backwards now, where
right, Sydney Sweeney.
Or like, I mean, even I'm thinking like Emma Stone, she goes from doing those huge, like the La La Lands and now, which it's kind of, I shouldn't, but then she's it's a little different. Because obviously Poor Things and Begonia are not, they're still massive, but.
Right. They're not B movies by any means, but she's doing weird shit now.
Yeah. The stuff that most actresses that are doing the movie she was doing would not, just a different direction. Whereas it feels like Sarah was starting with her Begonia and wanting to get to La La Land, but she never got to La La Land, which that's okay. The movie's not that good.
Tell them. I hate it. That's another one of my hot takes is that I hate La La Land. And if one argument destroys your relationship, that's not a love story. That's like pathetic.
And I don't remember if I deleted it or not. My Letterboxd had a very iconic review. This was me. I was like 14, 15, 16, 24. I'm kidding. I don't know how old I was.
I'm like, you're full of shit. You were like 20.
I know. I was of an age where I would hope. No, I didn't know how to talk about movies. But anyways, I shared before I was the Mitchell that shares the pee-pee poo-poo takes on movies. Mitchell was trying to take things seriously and write thoughtful criticisms of movies. Jenny, you look like you're looking it up, and I don't.
Oh, you might have deleted it, actually. Damn it. You deleted it. I'm not going to put anyone on blast here, but if you want to go look up Mitchell's review of La La Land, it originally said something about how, like, you didn't really like it, but the cinematography was beautiful and the performances were great. And you said, but maybe I'm being too analytical, is what you said. Maybe I am being too analytical, but there is absolutely no analysis in the review.
The amount of times that you've said to me, maybe I'm being too analytical, is disgusting. I found it. Okay, everybody, I know you're on the edges of your seat. Here is my review of La La Land. As of September 23rd, 2017, I was 20 years old. That's disgusting. I love the cinematography of this film, and I also love the choreography. I also thought Stone and Gosling, referring to their last names, like
a real critic.
So professional. I also thought Stone and Gosling had strong performances. What does that mean? However, the music did not make up for the plot too comfortably filled with cliches. I did appreciate them not ending up together in the end of the film. Is there something deeper that I missed? If not, I guess maybe I'm being too analytical with this film. I guess I was just expecting something way different. Tell him, girl. Go on, Queen, give us nothing.
Strong performances. Like, what do you mean?
The plot thickens as the ensues thickens.
To be fair, your original La La Land review is better than I remembered it being. I just remember getting to the analytical part and just belly laughing on my couch for like 15 minutes straight because I was just like, what do you mean?
That's because my own inner critic saying you can't share your opinions on movies because it's not good enough. So what do I do now? I just say gross things, and it's about 1 or 2 sentences tops, maybe. You might even get 5 words out of me on some of my other reviews. But
you're learning to feel comfortable sharing your opinions.
I know my audience. I know that written art forms are not, that's not my battlefield. My battlefield is spoken word.
Yeah.
Through the art of podcasting.
Yay! Okay, thank you for listening, everybody. You can follow us at CinephilePod on Instagram. I'm Genevieve.
And I'm Mitchell. And the plot ensues while the thickens dramas. What's the quote?
No.
No, what's the original?
The plot thickens as drama ensues.
The thickens drama ensues. Thickens. Yeah, I can't remember.
The drama plots as the thickens ensues.
I think describing something as thickening or like something thickens, that's fun.
It's past midnight. I've had a Diet Pepsi. I've had coffee. I gotta go.
I'm ready for the drama of my night to ensue while my plot thickens into a pint of ice cream. Alrighty, I'm gonna go.